Hello, Cartoon Tank fans. Today we have the very first of the Meng World War Toons tanks. This is the famous Tiger 1 tank here. Let's see, some shots there. World War Toons, to my understanding, is a video game. Some shots of it. And here's some specs of the Tiger 1 tank. So 54 tons and quite crew of 5. It has a flak 88 gun. That was the driving force as to why this thing was made, to put a anti-aircraft gun into a tank so it could take out the thicker armored allied tanks. Alright, so yep, someone taped this a lot. Yes, this is modified by the seller apparently, because they usually don't come with foam. Alright, so here are the instructions, and here are the parts. Not many parts. Pretty easy to put together, just gotta follow some arrows and look at the shapes. I do find that it would be advisable to put these small parts onto this before you close the hatch, all of them actually, because I found that in one build I couldn't get the turret open again. But if you have to somehow modify or drill out a hole or who knows, remove a part, you don't want the turret closed up. There's a scheme. Alright. It's a very light tan color. I thought it would be darker. It's not even it's not remotely close to the photograph. So you might want to paint this. Alright, so I'm gonna fast forward and we'll see at the end here. So we're back here. I guess I'm done with this for now. So instead of using the decals that it came with, I actually ordered some 172 scale decals for the Michael Wittmann tanks. And so the winter one is S04, and you can see a decal. S04. But I gotta say, if you do order decals, I think the 172 is too small. Reason being is the markings on the turret. I had to use 3 decals to get around this turret. Whereas I think if it was a 135 scale decal kit, you could just get away with 1. But I didn't know. So I went with what I didn't feel like waiting and ordering new decals. Alright, so these are pictures of the Michael Wittmann and his tank crew there with this winter painted, paint washed Tiger 1. So you can see the barrel markings, how many tanks he's taken out or something at the time. It does look like it's weathered quite a bit, you know, like they haphazardly threw on some paint, or maybe the white paint wore off there. But I didn't feel like adding back that darkness, so I just left it the way this is. Before we continue on, though, you'll notice this 3560. Wikipedia is saying that's the hull width of this thing. So, well, I don't know about hull width, overall width, but I think it's probably the hull width because these tanks may or may not have side skirts. 76.3. So, let's see. Maybe 147 scale, 148 scale. So actually, that would be the decal size you want to get if they are available. 148 scale, not 172. It's just too small, I think. All right, let's get this out of the way. So, not really anything majorly difficult putting this together. Let me show you some bits here. It's a smart, keyway. It's off at a random angle. I was afraid the turret would be all misaligned. Like my KV-1 was really difficult to put that turret together. But this one was actually pretty straightforward as far as not being so warped. Although I gotta say, if you really want it to look nice, you're gonna have to sand and putty, these surfaces. But since they're on the bottom, you don't even notice. This one, though, I did have to sand off quite a bit. You'll see here, maybe you can notice it's actually a little bit flat because I didn't even bother adding putty. I just sanded the high edge down and cut that there. This hatch does open, so you probably don't want to glue it and this is one of the larger, if not the largest, porthole or person hole or whatnot I've seen, so there's a good chance you might be able to get a little cartoon character in there. But the fit was very tight, so I had to scrape down this peg and to take a drill bit and open that up, and now I'm happy with the tightness of it. This hatch doesn't open at all. I think it would have been nice if it was bigger and it could open, but I guess it's good to have at least one hatch. I just have this pigment here on these tracks here, but no winter wash over the tracks. The turret will go up and down that much. Pretty good articulation, I would say. I honestly don't know if I should have added black paint here, because, I don't know if there's no top views of this tank. I mean, it's World War II, so they weren't taking aerial photos of these tanks. They're just sending them out to war, right? They're trying to win a war. There's more pigment here for the exhaust, and I used pigment fixer there. I added black paint again here, but I'm not sure if that's accurate. Oh, since this is the very first World War Toons model kit by Meng, this is definitely subpar compared to the latter offerings. The only part that's one of these details that's removable or was a separate piece is this shovel. But these bars and all these steel cables and this axe are molded into this piece of plastic. So you literally have to paint these parts on the thing. But, I'm just so used to actually having all these little accessories as separate pieces, so you can actually have it be a little more realistic, but be mindful of that. So that's definitely something they improved upon in the latter kits. These would all be separate and look more realistic, and also be easier to paint, because it's not part of that molding. Same back here, I have a suspicion these could have been different pieces, but they didn't do it. Only the exhaust covers and the exhausts are separate and plug into the back. One nice thing is though, all these tow hooks are actually free pieces, and they have little dots in them, so they won't fall off. You can just articulate them. These two tow hooks are actually trapping these tracks here. I didn't even glue this in because the tow hooks are trapping it. So that's nice. I did take the decal from this kit though and put it on here. Possibly that decal too, or maybe that's from the Michael Wittmann decal set. I'm not going to move the tracks. You could, they're rubber, but the paint will fall off. See, just fondling this, the paint gets knocked off very easily from the rubber. But that whole system will move if you want to actually just play around with it. These are, I would have to say, the best looking tracks I've seen in this lineup. It's odd that the tracks are the finest. They got worse later on, but then they did better with the accessory moldings. Okay, yeah, this gun doesn't move. That one might move a little bit with the ladder offerings. Yeah. Oh, another thing is the fitment of this rear. It was really horrible. I think there could have been some extra molding flash, and I didn't prepare the bottom and the side properly. So once you put it together, it's so tight you can't take it apart. You'll break it. So I just had to go forward. So I basically, used Tamiya model glue and glued this in there. And then I still had to sand it off. You can see the giant sanding mark here to try to knock down this back piece. So be mindful of that. It's really hard to say. I don't even know if you would, how you would prepare for that, because once you put this top on the bottom, it's not going to come off without breaking the pegs. So it's hard to test fit stuff, with these things. Unless you make those pegs extremely loose, then you can have it, be easy to take apart, and then you can test fit it. But I didn't do that, so yeah, it's a little ugly back here in these corners, but it's the back of the tank, so I'm not too concerned with it. Alright, these aren't even glued, these little smoke dischargers. They're actually helping to hold the front end down. You might see a tiny gap. But I did add some glue here because it was there's too much air gap showing through. I actually glued it from the inside, so it's nice and easy. You'll see the paint will scrape off. In general, these turret fits seem to be very tight on these Meng tank kits. But that's fine, whatever. As long as I can turn it, that makes me happy. And in fact, it's probably better that it's tight, so it's not just a mess of wobbliness. Okay. I do have this UFON bust that I painted up. I'm not a figure painter. I'm not even a model kit painter in my opinion, but yeah, this does fit. But she's a little bit loose, so I have a little poster putty on her elbow just to keep her in place. At some point I'll probably order some more of these UFON figurines because I really like these tanks. So let's compare it to a few other tanks. So this is the Porsche Tiger. I think it's called a WWT-001 or something. One nice thing about this one is even though these are rubber tracks, Meng designed these little offsets so it forces the track down against these wheels. That unfortunately doesn't happen here. These tanks treads are they're heavy steel. They should be resting on those wheels there. So unfortunately, it's their first model kit, so they're probably just testing the waters and just getting something out there. So these are similar in size, which makes sense since they're both Tiger tanks. Yeah, I think they fit well together. And then here's a smaller tank, obviously, the M10 Wolverine Tank Destroyer. And I did a winter wash on this one. But it's much smaller. I think this is a medium class tank, so unfortunately it's a really small tank in this model kit form. It should be a little bit bigger, I think. Alright, well, that's it for the comparisons or show and tell of other model kits. Got my snow coaster up here. Let's see if this solar thing can handle this weight. Well, I don't know. I think it's going to stop. Alright, well, main issue is it's the very first model kit put out by this company. So the tank treads are great, but all those little accessories you have to usually put on are not separate pieces. So it's a little harder to paint. But overall, it looks pretty nice, and it obviously fits in with the other Tiger tanks put out by Meng. And so, thanks for watching today. We'll see you in the next World War II tank kit video.